Here are the genius lyrics to my song, Hometown. 9 to 5 ain't working. Clocking in and out's a burden. I'm just telling myself that it's worth it. But if you're lying, is it really living? So this opening verse just kind of started with me and the other writers and producers just painting a picture of how the everyday life can just kind of be monotonous. It's just like, you think you're living your dream, but you're a waitress at a coffee shop and you're not getting as many acting gigs as you want. Or in my case, I was a valet worker. I was parking cars and I was just clocking in and out just to pay the bills, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do and it just kind of sucked. Crying my way for a few years, calling my bluff through a few tears. Dreaming my days out windows, but if I close my eyes. I remember when I got back from American Idol and I got kicked off at Top 40 and I spent the last 6 months of my life doing the show and everything, and I got kicked off and I just thought to myself, like, why am I doing this? Should I still be doing music? I kind of had like a midlife crisis thing, and I just called my bluff and was like, what else are you gonna do? I was like, what else are you gonna do? Like, for real, that's exactly how it went down, because we flew back from Hawaii on Super Bowl, and as I'm walking through the airport, I'm thinking to myself, dude, I think you're gonna throw in the towel. I think it's over. And right as I said that, I look and on the screen there's J-Lo putting on the Super Bowl performance, and I'm like, gosh, I just want to do that so bad. And then I thought to myself, what else are you gonna do? You put in 9 years, at that point it was 9 years. You put in 9 years into this industry. You've made money doing what you love. No, you're not a millionaire yet, but you're on your way. And this is what you're good at. What else are you gonna do? I can hear their voice calling out my name, and I only want to be there. Never too much noise in my perfect place. I'd do anything to stay here. So now we start talking about there is a place where everybody knows my name, and I can hear it. I can hear them be like, Geena, what's up? And you're just the center of attention, and I know that place. And I can hear them calling out my name, and there's never too much noise there. Like, sometimes with work and all these different things, especially if you work in like a service industry, it's like there's always noise and just like your head just gets like so loud. But there's a place where it's not too loud. There's never too much noise, which leads into the chorus. It's just a perfect place. And what is that perfect place? And then here we go. 'Cause every time feel like I'm moving too fast. Summertime butterflies are rushing right back. There was a time in my life where I grew up on a farm. It's kind of weird because this song almost has like a country aspect to it, because I painted this whole imagery of this time when I lived on a farm. And a lot of people don't know that I lived on a farm. I've lived kind of in every housing situation, from like farm to trailer park to like suburbia to, like, you name it, a condo, it doesn't matter. I've lived in it. And this whole song was kind of coming from this memory that I have of growing up, not really growing up on a farm, but living there for a period of time. And this thing of when I feel like I'm moving too fast, I think back to the summers there and how everything almost moves slow. The only thing I really saw were summertime butterflies. I'm barefoot, driving and singing. It takes me back to my hometown. My uncle is kind of crazy, okay? He's not crazy, but he's crazy. Like, we always joke with him and say he rides the wind, because when he comes into your house, it's like a whirlwind came in and you just gotta hope you catch it and just ride it. But I had this image of he would say, hey, I'm going to pick this up at the feed store or whatever. And he always wanted you to come with him, so you would come. And we had this big dually truck, huge thing. I think he finally got rid of it, but we had this big white dually truck. And I remember just getting in there. I wear flip-flops, but once I got in the car, I would take my flip-flops off and I'd put them on the dash. And it just had this feeling of I'm barefoot driving and singing. It takes me back to my hometown, and it just reminded me of that whole moment of like, you know, me sitting watching TV, my uncle being like, oh, we're going to the feed store, and him dragging me to the feed store to pick up stuff for chickens. It's like, what is my life? Every time right when I'm feeling burnt down, silver sky, city lights pulling me out. So this went to like another memory of mine of me being in the city, like the sunset in the city. When you drive into the city, it's just like a silver sky, and you see all these city lights, and it just again brings you back to this memory. This whole song kind of started from the track that Jinco and Toybox created, which had a very nostalgic feeling. And so I was pulling from all these memories that I had from when I was a kid, from when I was in high school, junior high, and all these things. And I remember as a kid, you know, my parents were split, and so my dad lived in the city. My dad lived in Pasadena and spent more time in LA. And I remember as a kid seeing the city and being like, oh, this is so cool. And it felt very centering to me. It's weird because I feel centered sometimes on a farm and in nature, but I also feel very centered in the city. It's very, very weird. I think that's just because of how I grew up. I grew up in a very split dynamic, and so I just feel like both feel like home to me. I'm barefoot, laughing and drinking. It takes me back to my hometown. What's funny is you know, you have this moment of, I'm in the city, silver sky, city lights, right? But still, even in the silver sky, city lights, there's a little bit of country. There's a little bit of that aspect still there, because it never really leaves you, you know, like, it's like you live in the trailer park even for a year, and it don't ever leave you. It's still there. It's still with you. Thinking about the things I'm missing. Dad only got a few years left. I struggle every day with forgiving. Wanting doesn't come from wishing. This second verse to me is the part of hometown that is the reason for some people why they don't go back. When I think about all the different places that I've lived, there are a few places where I don't like going back to them because there are memories that I don't want to revisit. And it definitely comes from not wanting to forgive and not wanting to forget. And that's very hard. It's super hard for me to forgive and forget. It's very difficult. I feel like I just have too good of a memory, first of all. So it's something that I struggle with all the time. But there are definitely places that even when I drive by them today, and I could just drive by them on the freeway. It doesn't even have to do with like I'm in the city, you know what I mean? I could just drive past them and still I feel like I have a negative emotion tied to it, and I don't want to go back there because there's a negativity to it. And I think a lot of people deal with that. A lot of people deal with not wanting to go revisit a family member or a friend because there was a falling out, and it's just easier to just never go back to that part of town again rather than deal with the emotion or deal with that person or whatever. And to me, the realest part of the song is the second verse, because it deals with something that I think a lot of people struggle with. I know I struggle with it, and it's something to work on for me. Well, anyways, that is Hometown. Please go stream it. It's out everywhere. It's one of my favorite songs that I've released so far this year. There are many, many more songs to be released, but this is definitely one that is up there for me. It means a lot to me. And please share this video, share the song with your friends. I would be so, so appreciative. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.